There's plenty of opportunities on YouTube and other applications to get different perspectives on the Second Amendment space. Today, we have an opportunity to sit down with an influential one, that is Copper Jacket TV. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. Fruits of the labor at SHOT Show once more. We get an opportunity to sit down with Will from Copper Jacket TV. The assumption here is that the mass majority of you guys have seen his content, but it's a great opportunity to kind of get into the mind of somebody who has a lot of experience advocating for the Second Amendment. Will, I want to thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate your time.
Oh man, I'm glad to be here. I love your show.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, and much appreciated there. And guys, please, as always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. It really helps with the algorithms to push this message as far as wide. As always, we are trying to educate on Second Amendment litigative, legislative, and cultural efforts happening in the state of California. So, Will, if we could just jump into it really quick, like I kind of already said, I'm assuming a lot of people have seen you, have known you to a certain extent watching your content, but tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into this? I guess the YouTube space specifically, and how's that experience been for you?
Well, you know, a lot of people out there probably still know me as the Daily Shooter, right? I think that was the big one. I made that change a few years ago to Copper Jacket because of some heat that I was getting from YouTube. But I originally got into this because I just couldn't take it anymore. You know, I would go to Turner's or I would go to the store and I would see the things that are being done to us and nobody was really saying anything about it. You know, I was watching YouTube at the time and there weren't too many people talking about the California stuff. There were some people talking about federal, but when it came to the state issues, I felt like there was a big gap there. And so for me to get in front of the camera and at least talk to people that were like-minded, because I didn't know about YouTube 12 years ago is when I started, and I didn't know how many people were on there that would be interested about that, but I thought I'd give it a shot, and it turns out there was quite a few people that were feeling the same way as me, and it just snowballed from there.
Well, I mean, as far as we're concerned, you know, there's definitely a lot of support that's in the community. I'm sort of curious, you know, you're getting videos out there that are getting hundreds of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of subscribers. You know, what's the overall feel that you get from the community? How are you able to touch them? As far as my experience so far, it's been pretty uplifting. There's a lot of positivity. There's a lot of support for this effort. Are your experiences the same?
Yeah, there really is, and I think a lot of it comes down to loyalty. People in California, they tend to live in a bubble because what happens on a federal level may not affect them. They have their own stuff that they have to deal with. And so I think that understanding California-specific issues and being able to talk about the problems that they see happening versus maybe some of the other stuff that's happening around them, I think is really important. And people seem to be really positive about that. You know, when I make videos about some of the big cases like Duncan, right? People are curious. They want to know what's going on. And the fact that there's that many people in California that want to be that educated on what's going on with their Second Amendment rights is very uplifting.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And when you're talking about that bubble, when you're talking about, you know, Californians having their own stuff to worry about, is that kind of something that incentivizes you to kind of have a little bit of a focus on California? I mean, there's always going to be big national stuff with the Supreme Court,
right?
A lot of stuff with the federal agencies like the ATF or the DOJ, but is that something that also drives you to focus on California?
Yeah, I mean, I focus on the federal stuff. Obviously, it's extremely important. I am one of those people who says that every gun law is an infringement. I believe that to my heart. But it takes somebody, I think, from California to really understand what it's like to see a new pistol come out. And they want it, and you can't have it.
Right.
You know, it takes somebody to understand those small things that really just affect that state or other states that have a similar roster. So having that understanding of what Californians go through, I think, is really important, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, and like I said, you kind of end up getting met with the support from the viewership. So I think,
for instance, we're at SHOT Show, right?
Yeah.
SHOT Show is when all of the new guns come out. That's when all the new pistols come out that people want to see. And when Californians watch SHOT Show, it's a different experience for them. You know, it's more of a frustrating experience than a fun experience because they want to be able to bring those things home.
Which is why things like the Duncan case, or not the Duncan case, the Bolin case, and the handgun roster end up being so darn important. Which is why we continue to try to get the viewership, the support that ends up funding those cases. which could see Californians looking at something like SHOT Show very differently down the line.
Yeah.
Speaking of down the line, though, I mean, you've been doing this for over a decade. You've seen the ebbs and flows of the tugs on each side on the Second Amendment, both federally and in the state of California. What's the environment look like through your eyes right now, just as far as all the legislation you're seeing and what 2025 has to hold?
Well, I think we're probably moving into the golden age for the Second Amendment over the next 4 years. I tend to be optimistic, and I'm really excited for what's coming down the road. I mean, just seeing some of the promises that were made. Obviously, we know that not all promises will be held up, but at least seeing some of the promises and some of the stuff that's already been introduced, like national reciprocity, repeal the NFA, the Hearing Protection Act. These are all things that have already been introduced in the first few weeks of this new 119th Congress. So those are all excellent things that I think would affect everybody on a national level. And if that happens and we continue that momentum instead of just saying, oh, great, we got it, and then ceasing, you have to continue the momentum because, believe it or not, people tend to get a little bit, they kind of sit back a little bit. Nothing's going to happen for the next 4 years. But this fight is going to continue on for the next 100 years. And we have to make sure that we continue that push. But I think the next 4 years are going to be really good on a national level.
Yeah, it's almost like now is the opportunity to really lay the foundation for the future. If we have an opportunity where we have an optimistic legislature, we have an optimistic Supreme Court. So if we can continue to solidify Bruin, we can continue winning these court cases we obviously feel we have winning arguments in these cases.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we can continue and solidify that, it won't just be the next 4 years that are going to be good for us. It's going to be the next couple of decades. So I definitely feel you there. I think you're definitely on to something.
I think it's going to be good, but we'll see, right? I mean, it's such a slim majority in both houses. Mm-hmm. If we can get it passed, we know that the president will sign these bills. That's great, but getting it passed and getting it past the goal line is. We have to lean into it at this point. Now's not the time to just sit back. Now's the time to actually push harder,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Any final thoughts on 2025? Any specific lawsuits that you're looking forward to, maybe with the Supreme Court?
Right now I'm really focused on Duncan. I need Duncan to move. We need Duncan to move. There's so many cases right now in California that are being held up by Duncan. I feel like we're just hamstrung until they decide to make a decision on that. Yeah. We have Miller waiting on it. There's a lot of big things that are waiting on Duncan. And on a federal level, I would like to see the NFA repealed. The NFA comes way after Bruin, right? Bruin set us a timeline. That timeline stops during the Reconstruction era. Obviously, the NFA and the GCA came way after that. We should have a fighting argument to overturn those things, but I'd like to see some action done on the NFA, at least for now. That would be my hope.
Well, definitely a lot to look forward
Absolutely.
to, and the way that the landscape is drawn, none of that really seems like it's impossible to accomplish. So,
yeah, there's a little hope right now.
Yeah, definitely hope. Well, Will, I do appreciate you coming on. I think that what you do on YouTube is a good service to the community.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, I want to thank you very much for doing that, and I want to thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And guys, if you like content like this, you want to continue seeing videos, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos. If for some odd reason you have not seen Copper Jacket TV, go down into the description below. We're going to have Jacob put the link to his YouTube page so that you can check out videos there. It's always good to have that insight. And please, once more, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps get the message out there. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.